Have Ineos secretly got 2 deals done? You know how they got Omar Barada secretly done and announced it on us? Have they got another 2 deals done? Reportedly, they have now been agreed, and deals we believe that were likely to happen. Anyway, Manchester United is scouting a 16-year-old Wonderkid midfielder. What is the latest on that? What's the new approach under Ineos to scouting? Will we be looking at those South American gems? More info coming in on the manager situation. Lots and lots coming in on Bruno Fernandes's injury, and Manchester United unhappy with some comments made about Bruno Fernandes. And then we're going to get into 5 things we learned from Manchester United 1, Nottingham Forest 0, because I want to get into analysis from that game. But let's start with the news. Is Ashworth and Jason Wilcox already done? It was said the signatures of Ashworth and Jason Wilcox are sealed. They will both join Manchester United. Manchester United have agreed a compensation package for Dan Ashworth, and that was said by Football Hassan. Now, while Football Hassan isn't a well-known journalist or source in the sense of Man United news, he's not an ITK account. When I see an ITK account, I say that is false. When I see someone, I say this guy, is not super well known, but he has been accurate with information in the past. It's not a Romano, it's not an Ornstein, it's not a Laurie Whitwell. You can't go, okay, this is 100% true. But he is someone with decent credibility that's put out accurate information in the past, a bit like the United Muppeteers. And he's saying that they're done and that Man United have actually agreed a compensation package for Newcastle for Dan Ashworth. And there's a feeling in the next couple of days we'll hear movement on that. Now, it was said by other sources that Dan Ashworth is set to become Man United's technical director soon. Other sources did say yesterday Jason Wilcox is expected to join Man United soon. And Ben Jacobs did say that Jason Wilcox is the next sporting director to watch out for. And Dan Ashworth will 100% happen. It's a case of when. There's now reports coming out this morning that Jason Wilcox to Man United is now done, as well as the reports from Football Hassan. And there are reports that there is an agreement with Dan Ashworth, although Football Hassan is the only guy saying that the compensation has been agreed. But have United secretly got these deals done? They got the Omar Barada deal done. They announced it. We know that we're working on those deals. We know that both these people have said yes to United, and United had to figure out some stuff with Southampton and Man City. We know these players are probably going to go to United. Have they already got the deal done? That is what's being reported, and hopefully so. Wilcox, Ashworth, Omar Barada working at United will be massive, and then I think they'll probably look to get someone like a Dougie Friedman or a Julian Ward in to do the more recruitment side of things. I've done a video explaining why all of these guys would be absolutely brilliant appointments for United, and we will discuss this more in a live stream. But I want to get into the next story on the 16-year-old Wonderkid Manchester United reported looking at, called Franco Mastuantino. I don't know how I'm going to say his name. I'm just going to call him Franco. Not super familiar with this guy, but I read a report on him about a week ago of him being linked to Barcelona and Barcelona wanting this guy. So I kept my eye out on him. He was the youngest player ever to play for River Plate versus Boca Juniors, which is a massive derby over in Australia. And it was said by OneFootball that a focus on signing young and herd gems could be the sign of changing path under new owners. Ineos could be interested in that. Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Man United might be looking at those South American young gems. What Manchester City have done with Julian Alvarez and what Manchester City done with a lot of players. They recently signed an Argentina player as they're getting really cheap young gems from Argentina in. So even if they're not good enough to play for Man City, they'll still make a profit on them. They'll loan them out because they're good players. And Omar Barada coming in is looking to do the same. So I do think once Ineos really step foot in United, I do think those 16-year-old Wonderkid deals are definitely one to keep an eye on, because we missed out on Moises Caicedo, Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez in the past. But you look at Dan Ashworth, he's done them with Brighton. You've got Omar Barada, he's doing them with City. I think that this is one to watch, although I think Barcelona might win this one because they seem very determined. Now, who is this guy? He's a midfielder. He's more of an attacking man midfielder who can often play as a right winger. I think he would be a long-term Bruno replacement if he reaches his potential. He's versatile, can play centre mid, attacking mid, centre forward, and even on either wing. He's a very young player, obviously 16, playing first team football at such a young age, which shows how highly rated he is. But what's interesting about him is more that when you watch him play, his technical ability to keep the ball close control stands out. A bit like Eden Hazard in there, the way he can just keep the ball at his feet, and he's very good 1v1. He's got very good technical components that, a bit like Hobby Maynard, where they just have the ball at their feet with so much ease. So definitely one to keep an eye on there. In terms of other info coming out before we get into 5 things we learned, it was said that United, Chelsea and Liverpool are interested in the Sporting Lisbon manager. We've kind of known that. If Ten Hag does go, De Zerbi, Potter, Sporting Lisbon manager, they're 3 that we'll definitely be looking at. Nagelsmann's another one. Apparently Tuchel we're not interested in. But I'm not really interested in talking about the new manager situation because we've done that a lot. Now, I wanted to get into some bits and bobs here. And the first thing we learned from our 5 things we learned is that Bruno is an absolute rock. Was Bruno good in the first half? No, he was atrocious. Bruno was like a 2 out of 10 in the first half. He was probably like a 7 out of 10 in the second half. I did think he had a good second half. But the first half he was poor. The last couple of games he'd been poor. But he's played 219 games for United and not missed a single game through injury. Bruno's basically played every minute of every game for Manchester United and Portugal over the last 4.5 years. And I think, he's been targeted on social media. People accuse him of faking injury and stuff. So now I'll confirm that Bruno was playing through a bad injury. And while playing through a bad injury, he still made 6 tackles, created 6 chances, got the assist, set up the winning goal, and covered so much ground. He ran and ran and ran. And I see fans who want Bruno gone and say he's the biggest problem in this club and is begging for Jadon Sancho to come back. But Jadon Sancho didn't want to play for this club for 4 months. Bruno is playing for this club injured. Yes, he's not playing well, but that is because he is actually injured. Like, he's putting everything in. He's running harder. He's working harder than everyone else with an injury. And there's a reason I don't criticise Bruno as much. As you can see here, you look at sort of statistics. Bruno's created the second most chances across all top 5 leagues after Gundogan. And one of the reasons I don't criticise Bruno as much recently is because I know he's injured. Has Bruno's performances been good? No. But has Bruno been playing with an injury for the last month? Yes. Has Bruno been making himself available and putting himself on the line for Man United? Yes. So that is why I'm quite lenient on Bruno, because I know that there's a good player in Bruno. Even though Bruno Fernandes hasn't been good these last couple of games, he's been pretty bad. I know that he's a good player. I know that he is playing poorly, but I also know that he's doing everything for this club and playing injured. And while the performances aren't good enough, at least he's doing everything for this club while playing injured, because there's no one else that can do that role. If we drop Bruno, Eriksen plays as a 10. He's been dreadful this season. McTominay plays as a 10. He's a super sub. So we can't drop Bruno. And I know people are crying, drop Bruno, he makes us worse. He does not. We will be much worse without Bruno. We will have no creativity without Bruno, even though he's playing bad and he's injured. If we don't play Bruno, it's McTominay, it's Eriksen. And you can say, that's Man United's fault, not Bruno's fault, for not having a good depth option for Bruno. Yes, Bruno shouldn't be untouchable and should be dropped if he's playing bad and should be able to be rested when he's injured. But that is on Man United for not getting a good replacement or good alternative, someone to challenge Bruno for his place. Maybe Mount, but he's injured. And Man United are quite unhappy with TikTok clips going about, sort of going in on Bruno. And they're saying that other players wouldn't play on with the injuries that Bruno had, which is why I give Bruno benefit of the doubt. But more getting into the game and the game perspective, I did think Bruno had a good second half. I don't think he was good in the first half. Who did have a really good game was Rafael Varan. For me, Man United would be silly to sell Rafael Varan. We have so many players that are not good enough. So I know Varan is on high wages, but we have so many players that are not good enough. Can we sell them and sell Varan in 2025? For me, Varan has missed 5 games through injury all season. That's better than 90% of the squad. If we get a good centre back in and we manage his minutes, he won't be crazy injury prone. But imagine this: we've got Branthwaite, Todibo, Varan, and Martinez as the centre back options. If one of them gets injured, Varan comes in. Like that's a significant upgrade. Varan might become a bench player next season and that's a lot of money for a bench player to be on. But when you look at players that we have, Eriksen, McTominay, not good enough. When you look at Anthony, not good enough. I mean, you look at players that haven't been good enough this season. You look at Donny, you look at Martial. I don't understand selling Varan. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I think he's the best box defender in the league statistically. No player's won more aerial duels than him. He's a beast statistically, and he's a lot better on the ball than he gets credit for. Look at his progression compared to everybody else, be it passing and carry. He was immense, and I just think we'd be crazy to let him. While the game yesterday was boring, one thing that stood out to me is how Diego Dalot has really come along this season and developed as a player. And the third thing we learned was that Dalot was man of the match for me, but I wanted to talk about how much Dalot has improved and actually how Ten Hag has got the best out of Dalot and improved him. Dalot's got a lot better going forward. He put in 2 great crosses, could have had 2 assists yesterday, really set McTominay up well. And my biggest criticism of Dalot was never his defending, which other people's was. Everyone used to say he's bad at defending. I never thought he was bad at defending. He wasn't as good as Wan-Bissaka at defending, but he was never bad at defending. It was actually his crossing. And I think his crossing's really improved. But what I've noticed about Dalot is he can overlap and play as a traditional right back, doing those overlapping runs, which we see Luke Shaw do. He can also play as an inverted right back, coming into midfield, helping and build up, helping with ball progression. And his ability to go outside and inside helps us progress the ball in all phases. Overlapping runs, quick 1-2s, putting good crosses in, inverting, coming into midfield, coming into central spaces, coming into the half space and attack, putting in crosses. I think he's been really good. And Delo's one of the few players at Manchester United that actually has that technical ability in possession to move the goal. Martinez is technically good in possession. Luke Shaw's technically good in possession. Maino's technically good in possession. And Delo's technically good in possession. They're the only players that are natural possession players that are good at the ball, good at possessing, keeping possession of the ball, good at making those line-breaking passes, good in build-up. And Delo really does help us in possession in our general play. I think he's good in build-up, and I think he's always been better defensively than he gets credit for as well. And I've been really, really impressed with Delo. He was my man of the match. A player I wasn't impressed with was Rashford. Now, the striker role was not for him. Rashford is a left wing only. He's not a right wing. He's not a striker. How many times have we played this guy, right wing and striker, and we're saying he's a left wing only? And my biggest criticism is for Ten Hag is, you know, the front three of Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford was working, and I thought Rashford was quite good his last couple of games on the left wing. And then Højlund's out, so then Garnacho goes to the right, Rashford goes striker, Garnacho goes to the left, and Rashford goes striker. So when Garnacho's doing really well on the right and Rashford's doing really well on the left, because one player gets injured, they both have to swap positions. For me, if Garnacho's doing well on the right and Rashford's doing well on the left, put McTominay striker, put Ahmad striker, put Forson striker. Keep the wingers where they are, where they're playing well, because Rashford is a winger. Now, while Rashford was bad, I have to say, you know, I wouldn't criticise Amrabat for how bad he was at left back. I thought Amrabat, when he came into midfield, was very, very good, but I thought Amrabat at left back was very poor in terms of positional sense. But I'm not going to criticise Amrabat for what he did at left back, because he's not a left back. But when he did invert into midfield, he was really good as a midfielder. So I'm not going to criticise Rashford too much for his performance, because he's not a striker. And what we always say when Højlund's in that role, that is the graveyard shift. What can Højlund do? But I will criticise Rashford's work rate, the flailing of the arms. Højlund is in that shift, a graveyard shift, and it's hard. Rashford's role is hard. It's impossible. But Højlund presses and works so hard for the team, and you don't see that on Rashford, and that's the most disappointing thing for Rashford. I'm not going to criticise his performance as a striker, because he's not a striker, and it'd be hypocritical, because I'm not going to criticise Amrabat's performance as a left back. And I know that, you know, I gave Højlund the benefit of the doubt in that role. But what I will criticise is Rashford's work rate. He does not look there. Now, going into the fifth and final thing that we learned, the squad is poor. While we won the game and we could have scored 3 or 4 goals, the performance was bad. We deserved to win. We could have scored a couple of goals. We created chances. McTominay could have 2 goals. Bruno could have had a goal. Anthony could have had a goal. Rashford even hit it over. He could have scored. But when you look at that starting 11, you look at the squad, while the performance was bad, no manager is going to get us playing really expansive football like Liverpool play and City play. That's the thing. And the reason I'm quite lenient is, right, we deserved to win the game. We actually created chances and we won the game. And Nottingham Forest are actually a decent side. But I look at the lineup and I know when I saw that lineup, it wasn't going to be a good performance. So because these players aren't capable of playing, you know, expansive attacking football that you want to see the Peps play and the Klopps play. So a lot of people were angry with the performance, but I wasn't angry at Ten Hag for that. Yeah, our football is bad. Yeah, our style of play is one of the worst to watch. But when you look at the lineup, yeah, some managers would be doing better than Ten Hag with that lineup. But ultimately, it's not capable. That team is not capable of playing good football. Now, I also wanted to add that if Bruno is out for the Manchester derby, this would be my starting 11. I'd generally stick McTominay at striker. I just want to keep the wingers on the wing. For me, that's key. But hopefully Bruno soldiers on. But I do worry he's a risk for the derby. He was in sort of limping off after the match. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.